Welcome to a demonstration of Clinical Advantage from Health Professions Education Solutions, LLC. Clinical Advantage has been updated to provide you with a comprehensive tool to manage clinical and lab events as well as both student and faculty clinical requirements. To access the clinical and lab schedule, click the Clinical Facility Lab Calendar button. Select the month you wish to view and the scheduled events will appear. To see the details of the events scheduled, click on the specific date. Here you can delete or add an event as needed. Complete the event details, including any notes needed in regard to the specific event. By clicking the Student Calendar and Faculty Calendar checkboxes, you also place the event on those calendars. Be sure to include all of the event details. Many of these fields are used later in generating schedules. The Clinical Facility and Lab Schedule is the primary tool for maintaining the schedule of clinical and lab events for your program. Clinical Advantage also provides a means of importing events, streamlining the process. We provide the instruction and tools to easily import your program's events and activities. We will go into this feature in another short training video. Click the Refresh button at the top to update your changes. Select month needed to review the changes you have made. Click Close to return to the opening screen. The student calendar is where you will assign individual students to clinical slots and lab events. You will notice that the calendar is blank. The events will not populate the calendar until a student has been assigned. Click on the date to open up the event list. The student field will show bright red until a student has been assigned. This works as a flag of available slots. Using the drop-down, select the student's initials that you wish to assign to this activity. After a student has been assigned to an event, click on the magnifying glass next to the student field. This will open the individual student's clinical requirements information for review. Review and evaluate as needed. Here you can make any changes that may be needed. This information will also be saved in the Clinical Requirements section of Clinical Advantage. Clicking Save secures the data. Once you refresh the calendar, you will begin to see the calendar populate with events and the students assigned to these events. Click Close to return to the opening screen. Access the faculty calendar as you did the student calendar. The faculty calendar works in the same way as the student calendar. The events are not populated until you assign a faculty member to the event. The event is not shown until a faculty member has been assigned. Review the faculty member's clinical requirements information by clicking the magnifying glass. Make any changes needed. Remember to click Save before closing to update this information in the Clinical Requirements section. By utilizing the Clinical Requirements Review form, you can make certain that the person assigned has met their clinical requirements prior to assigning them to an event. You can also add an event if necessary. Make sure to check the Clinical Facility Calendar to populate the main calendar with the added event. If the event will also be needed for student assignments, check the student calendar as well. Remember to click Save to save all changes made. Access the Clinical Requirements section by clicking the associated button on the main screen. Click the Student Requirements button to show all of the students and their clinical requirements data that has been entered into Clinical Advantage. Here you can scroll to find a student, edit, add, and update their clinical requirements. You can also maintain notes regarding these requirements. A requirement that is within 30 days of expiring will be shown in bold red type. You can also sort the list by using the course search option at the top to review only those students in a specific course. From this form, you can also review assignments for a specific term. This feature provides a list of students who will be attending clinicals, allowing you to further evaluate their clinical requirements completion. You can sort this list by either student or the date of the clinical or other event. This section provides you with a complete data set for each student and their clinical requirements compliance. You can also attach scanned documents to each student's record for further review. Adding new or additional students is as simple as a click. You can also import a list of students to the clinical requirements section. We will go into this feature in another video. The clinical requirements for faculty are managed in the same manner as the student clinical requirements. Access via the Clinical Requirements Faculty button. In this section, faculty are sorted by capacity, either full-time or adjunct faculty. Add faculty members, update requirements, and attach scanned documents just as you did in the student section. Also review, sort, and evaluate assignments as you maintain the clinical requirements. If any changes are needed in the faculty assignments, return to the appropriate calendar to make the changes. This form is for review only. As with the student clinical requirements, any faculty requirement that is close to expiring will be shown in red type. Add new faculty with a click. We have collected the student and faculty requirements and are now ready to share with administrators, clinical facilities, and others. Enter the course number you are working with and click the Print to PDF button. This will generate a complete report for this course and the student's individual clinical requirements information. If you prefer to have the clinical requirements in Excel format, enter the course number and click the Export to Excel button to generate the Excel spreadsheet containing this course's student list of clinical requirements. Save the newly generated Excel spreadsheet to your preferred location. Now that the clinical requirements are in Excel format, you can format as needed. For this example, I am not saving the new spreadsheet. From this form, you can also generate a clinical login list for a specific course. This data is useful to clinical facilities in setting up your students for medical record access. The Student Clinical Login Information Report contains the student's name, college ID, date of birth, and the last 4 digits of their Social Security number. This report can be saved, emailed, or printed to hard copy as needed to meet your clinical facilities requirement. The Clinical Facilities section provides you with a detailed list of the clinical facilities that you utilize in your program. Here you can record contact information, detailed notes about the facility, and attach copies of any contracts that are held by your program with this facility. From the Clinical Facilities form, you can also print a list of all of the clinical facilities available to your program. The report prints to PDF to save, email, or print to hard copy. We have entered clinical and lab events, both student and faculty clinical requirements, and are now ready to print the schedules available in Clinical Advantage. Click the Print Schedules button to access the 8 reports and schedules available. The first gives you a complete report of all clinical and lab events scheduled for a specific semester or term. The second schedule provides you with all events scheduled by clinical facility. The third schedule provides you with a list of students and their clinical requirements that have been assigned to a specific clinical facility. This can be shared with team leaders and clinical facilities prior to the clinical dates. The fourth schedule shows all activities and events for an individual course and the students assigned to the events. The fifth schedule shows each student's clinical requirements and their clinical and lab schedule for the semester or term. The sixth schedule is similar to the student's schedule in that it shows the individual faculty member their clinical requirements data and schedule for the semester or term. The seventh schedule shows all lab activities scheduled for the semester or term. The eighth and final schedule shows all clinical events scheduled for the semester or term. As we have demonstrated, Clinical Advantage is an all-in-one software package designed for maintaining clinical and lab schedules, student and faculty clinical requirements, and clinical facilities information. Clinical Advantage has been designed for ease of use and to provide you with the information you and your clinical partners need. Contact us at info@hpes-llc.com to obtain a quote or to schedule an online demonstration. Also visit our website at hpes-llc.com to learn more about our company and other software packages.